today's world of high-speed connection, text messaging, and social networking, we often find ourselves searching for information. There are millions of blogs on the internet. News, sports, politics, and tech. But I bring it all together for you and present it in a relentlessly unconventional fashion. My name is Zenny Abraham, and this is the Blog Report. It's time now for news. The great Mr. Shatner. Welcome. How are you? Second year in a row. How are you? Yeah, all right. Yeah.
What is that? Yeah. More than one person.
Yes.
A digital recorder with a baffle.
Yeah. Mr. Shatner, they've designated me to sit next to you because Roddenberry gave this to me. So
no kidding.
Yeah, they served me up for slaughter, the Roddenberry people. So, yeah.
Well, and here we are.
And so we have a life in Star Trek, but you say get a life.
Right, but I say get a life with joy and solicitude and understanding and love. Okay? You haven't seen the film.
No, sir.
You'll be very happy when you see the film. I wrote a book called Get a Life. I did that sketch, Get a Life. I wrote a book which I called Get a Life based on because of the sketch, in which I did my due diligence by looking at the fans and talking to the fans and coming to the conclusion that the fans came to conventions to see each other, to renew old friendships, to be part of a community. That was the conclusion of the book. My documentary concludes something far deeper and far more interesting than that. Yes, all of that, what I thought in the book is true, but it was only on a surface level. I was able to go on a much deeper cultural, sociological level of why people come to Comic-Con, Star Trek conventions, what is the fascinating part of Star Trek and science fiction, and I use examples of the people and also some very intelligent people who talk to me about what they teach. And
you talk about the friendships in the documentary and how people come together for friendships, and you've obviously dealt with the fandom for years and years. Have you yourself actually become friends with some of the fans?
No.
Okay.
No, I have not. But there are actors who have, and I delineate this. There are actors who have friends that have lasted as long as their lives together. And have gone from being fan and star to friends who go on trips together. There are actors who have done that. There is a fan who became Roddenberry's assistant, who is now a force in Star Trek, and he's in my next document.
Actually, that leads to two questions. We're going back to what he was talking about. So, were you inspired by one of the fans? I have seen the documentary, and I'm speaking about Captain Dave.
Captain Dave is extraordinary. I was inspired by Captain Dave, as much as Dave was inspired by us. To look into his bright blue eyes and to see the fervor, the passion for life that he exhibited, and the fact that he lived for so many years longer than he would have if it hadn't been for Star Trek. Those are some of the stories that I paint in the documentary. The leaf motif of him whizzing around from panel to panel as he tries his best to encompass as much as possible in a convention, and then be turned up at the next convention, and his head even more at an angle, and less breath to blow to guide his wheelchair, but still the bright blue eyes, which never extinguished until they were.
And you also spoke about, you wrote on Google Plus that you were going to work on a new documentary, and it was about the next generation.
Yes.
Can you tell us something about
that? I can't tell you anything about it. I'm in the middle of a discovery process, like this week. Okay, I can't tell you anything about it.
Can you tell me when?
No, I can't. The reason I can't tell you anything about it is I don't quite know.
Okay.
I'm in the process of examining what I've done.
Right.
And that's why I can't tell you.
Have you
anything.
talked to people whose friendships have been influenced by Star Trek? I mean,
Absolutely.
I've been a Trekker fan since 6, so that's
Oh
why
my
I asked.
gosh.
You know.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
gosh.
like-
The documentary abounds with people whose friends, people got married, people got children, whole families come. I mean, it's remarkable.
Well, in my case, something else. The friends that I have, going all the way back to the 60s,
Right.
were white, and when they were 14 and 24, told people that they shouldn't be racist toward me. At that time, we all started Star Trek clubs, and that's something that no one's ever talked about.
Really?
Yeah. It's,
Well, that's one of the edicts, if you will, of Star Trek, isn't it?
yeah, it's something that. You know,
The commonality of humanity.
and people thank you for that. That's why I was wondering if you thought about going in that area. You know?
Well, that's part of the documentary. That is, it's so it's so part of my acceptance. I don't even think of it as being a subject matter, but I'm aware of what you must be feeling. The passion for Star Trek is also part of the essence of Star Trek. The non-interference, the commonality of human beings, all those wonderful precepts that Roddenberry wrote about. That's one of the attractions of Star Trek, and I make sure that people understand that.
What have you learned about Star Trek? Last year you did the Captains, which I was honored to be a part of that press conference, and you've been on this journey, but what have you learned about both yourself and Star Trek's impact on people during this journey?
Tremendous amount.
What's at the highest priority of that list? It seems like you have a list there.
What I discovered in Get a Life has really changed my way of thinking. I say on the film, I never got it. Now I got it. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. I never understood. And most people don't. I mean, like most people right here don't understand why Star Trek has the impact it has. If what I've learned in this documentary is so, you will understand and say, "Oh my God, I never thought of that." And I use a shot in the documentary where I roll back with astonishment, with the joy of learning something new. I never thought what this guy said. I never thought of it. It never occurred to me, and I don't think it occurred to many people.
Do you feel in a sense you've become the Star Trek historian?
The Star Trek what? Historian. I'm not meaning to, but it's interesting how the Star Trek people are beginning to gravitate towards me in that way. Whereas I was having trouble getting people to talk to me without large sums of money. People are thinking, this is a good legend. This is a good thing to leave. What's the word I want? Legacy.
Yeah.
This is a good legacy. Me, the actor, to have. I'm doing 5 half hours. The first one, which is edited, is Avery Brooks, and you will pass out when you see how wonderful Avery Brooks is in this half hour. And he called me the other day to tell me how moved he was by what we've done here as a human being. I mean, do you know him?
I've never met him personally.
He's
last year at the press conference.
Extraordinary individual, so hugely talented and so bright, so smart, and so musical. His whole life is music, and as you know, in the Captain's interview, him singing. I mean.
He writes music, right?
And he writes. He plays. He's a pure artist. In any case. That half hour is one of 5 half hours based on the Captains. And these are wonderful human beings.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shatner. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.